Yo, what's good, guys? It's your boy TonyB, and I'm back with another MJ video for y'all. We got the moment Michael Jackson reached breaking point on the Victory Tour. So I'm with my boy CB here another time. So we went to go see the movie, and this was a big part of the film, the Victory Tour. It was probably the most talked about in the film, like the longest part. So yeah, we finna see if they got it right in the movie and what these people are for to talk about with MJ and his breaking point. We know the breaking point of MJ, what we seen in the film, but we for to see a little bit more details that the movie kind of left out. So yeah, we got CB here. Say what's up, man.
What's going on, y'all? Hey man, you're just curious to see again, like you said, how much did they leave out? Like I said, what actually ultimately led to Michael really just saying like this was the final tour with his brothers and the Jacksons and wanted to separate himself like I say from his father and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
we finna check it out. Let's get started.
Reports revealed that less than 2 weeks before opening night, quote, the promoters were feuding about who was in charge. So many technical details remained unresolved, and so much confusion reigned that no one seemed willing to guarantee that the Jacksons would actually perform at all. Despite the turmoil, the group launched their North American Victory Tour with 3 sold-out shows at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Performing
Oh yeah, guys. So if y'all don't know the lore of this, actually, CB probably doesn't know, but I'm gonna tell y'all right now. So actually, if y'all are sports fans, I learned this a while back, bro. Arrowhead Stadium or something like that. It was, I don't know if it was pertaining to them or like where the Patriots, but it's either the Kansas City Chiefs or like Patriots, the New England Patriots. They got their like stadium or basically their team was kind of somewhat like connected to like this Victory Tour. I don't know what. I think it might have been New England Patriots. I don't know. It's one of these teams, but correct me if I'm wrong. But that's what I learned back in the day. That
Mm.
because that was the '80s, so they was like an expansion team at that time, and I think something about like Michael sold out Arrowhead Stadium or something like that, and the owner was like, oh yeah, we can like play here and something like that, and they created the team. Where it was something, I could be totally wrong, so if I'm wrong, tell me in the chat. But yeah.
for 135,000 fans over the July weekend, the show remained unchanged throughout the run, with one exception, the striped pants Michael wore on the first night, reportedly complaining
that's
that on
nice.
reflection, they made him look like a court jester, and he instead gave them to his brother Randy to wear on stage.
Wow.
The group pressed on to their next stop, Irving, Texas, where the little girl Michael, the group pressed on.
Guys, another thing. Sorry for pausing. We're gonna be detailing it. The video is literally called The Detail, so we're gonna be detailing it. This will context. My mom actually went to go see Michael Jackson in his Victory Tour, and it's actually crazy. It says one of these dates. I'm not gonna say where I live. I'm not gonna say, but it's one of these dates. One of these dates on her birthday, and she went to go see it for her birthday. So yeah, I'm not gonna tell y'all where I live, but that's she went to go see it in one of these states. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Their next stop, Irving, Texas, where the little girl Michael had mentioned by name at the Kansas City press conference. The same one who couldn't afford the ticket lottery finally got to see her idol from the front row.
Shy LaDonna Jones of Louisville was helped into a Jackson Victory Tour jacket and given 4 free tickets to the Michael Jackson concert this weekend at Texas Stadium. It's a dream come true for this Michael fan. She knows exactly what she'd do if she actually met her hero.
Faint.
LaDonna's tickets came from Pepsi officials who had just flown into DFW with $160,000 worth of Jackson tickets. Pepsi is sponsoring the Jackson concert tour and giving away 3,500 tickets on specially marked soda cans. Unclaimed tickets will be given to charity organizations Thursday.
The Jacksons were initially apprehensive about the performances, as much of the Texas press had been particularly scathing over the ticketing controversy, and early ticket sales were weak. To prevent the group from performing to lackluster crowds, thousands of tickets were given away to charities, radio contests, and other promotions. Despite these concerns, Michael's fans turned out in full force, transforming the shows into a full-blown superstar spectacle. The entire cast of the TV soap Dallas arrived together to the thrill of the audience, one report noted, and Texan fans were treated to a surprise guest appearance from Eddie Van Halen, who joined Michael on stage to perform his iconic guitar solo on Beat It. Woo. The only time the two would ever publicly perform their hit track together.
Wow.
From there, the tour rolled through Jacksonville, Florida, East Rutherford, New Jersey, and then 2 nights at New York City's Madison Square Garden. So far, this was the most anxiety-ridden stop of the tour when it came to the potential for crime and the risk of a public relations disaster. Michael was deeply hurt when his childhood idol, James Brown, declined to appear on stage with him in New York City.
Oh man, dang. And that's what you was talking about earlier. Like, you was talking about this where he came on stage with James Brown.
Yeah, like this moment.
Childhood idol, James Brown, declined to appear on stage with him in New York City due to the ticketing controversy. The tour had already drawn considerable criticism from black leaders who argued that high ticket prices excluded many black fans and that the Jacksons had turned their backs on long-standing business partners to line the pockets of newly arrived white counterparts. In their view, the group had effectively sold out. With this sentiment in the air, organizers feared that disgruntled fans without a $30 ticket could overwhelm security and trigger a dangerous rampage, something far worse than what had occurred the previous year at a Diana Ross concert in Central Park. There, police were caught unprepared as gangs of youths went on a mugging spree through Midtown Manhattan following the Free concert, with hundreds of robberies reported. To counteract the potential revolt from his own community, Michael publicly supported institutions such as the NAACP, donated to charities that benefited the black community, and aligned himself with influential civil rights figures, including 1984 presidential nominee Jesse Jackson, who had previously criticized the tour, as well as appointed Reverend Al Sharpton as chairman of the tour's community relations team. Press statements circulated suggesting that security for the Jacksons event would be so tight that no one within a 4-block radius would be allowed near the venue without a ticket. The price tag for what was described as the largest police deployment ever assembled for an entertainment event was estimated at $678,000. There was reportedly 1 police officer for every 800 ticket holders. Some 2,000 officers, nearly 10% of the entire force, ringed Madison Square Garden like a blue ribbon. Quote, "It makes it sound like a police state mentality, and it's not going to be like that at all," said Sharpton, adding that he had assembled a Pride Patrol of 302 young community volunteers tasked with working the area around the garden and encouraging fans to behave responsibly in order to protect the Jacksons' safe image.
Number one, Victor Tour. Number one, Victor Tour.
We want to see Michael Jackson. I've been out here about 14 hours just to see him. And I want to see...
Gosh, bro, people was actually, bro, they was out there for like 24 hours. Like, and like, they used to do that back in the day, which is crazy. Like, when it came to tours, like, sit outside the venue until the tour is ready. It's crazy to me that they did that back in the day. Like, wow.
Yeah, that's right.
How much would you pay for a ticket?
Only $28. We are poor. We're
$28.
That's crazy, bro. Hey, man, if they offer, if only they knew, man. Man, if they saw these ticket prices today, man, for some of these concerts for these artists, man, they would lose it.
Bro, a large popcorn and a drink at the movie theaters today was more than that. Man. Our movie theater tickets was more than that, $28. They said, which is crazy how money came a long way. That $28 in 1984, in 2026, that's probably I would say 1,000. Well, this is Michael Jackson, so I'm not gonna lie. That might be
this like Michael Jackson.
That might be $4,000 or $3,000.
poor. We're not rich. We're poor. That's why we can't pay anymore.
Yet critics ultimately described the audience as, quote, the best behaved concert crowd to visit MSG in recent memory. with many attributing this to the steep ticket prices, which attracted a calmer, more adult, and more upscale crowd. Deputy Police Inspector Raymond Abruzzi confirmed that the audiences were orderly. Quote, "We had families, couples, nice kids here," he said. The shows were attended by the likes of Cyndi Lauper and Yoko Ono with Sean Lennon, as well as major figures from New York's East Village art scene: Andy Warhol, Keith Haring, Jean-Michel Basquiat, and a young Madonna who later went backstage to spend time with Michael and the rest of the Jacksons. From New York, the tour continued through Knoxville, Pontiac, Buffalo, and Philadelphia. In Philly, Bruce Springsteen stopped by to meet Michael, and in Denver, it was Elton John. Although on the surface the tour was running successfully, behind the scenes, tensions within the Jackson camp were escalating. Quote, "Meetings broke down among factions, with 2 lawyers representing Michael's interests, another for Jermaine, and one more for Jackie, Tito, and Marlon. Family committees constantly clashed over money, and Michael, who was already carrying the tour, began to feel the strain. One insider revealed, quote, "At one point, Michael became so exhausted from the stress of quarreling with his brothers that he was placed under medical care."
And don't forget, guys, during this time, this was like months after he burned his hair in the Pepsi incident. So like, he's not even supposed to be doing this in the first place. He's supposed to be still at home, like getting rest, but he doing his victory tour right now.
With millions of dollars at stake and their star attraction ailing, concert organizers panicked when Michael simply stopped eating due to stress. Brazilian chef Remy Villarreal, who had previously worked for Quincy Jones and impressed Michael with her healthy vegetarian cooking, recalled receiving an urgent call at her apartment. Quote, "The person on the phone asked me to look outside. He said, 'See the limousine? Get in it now.'" She was taken to a penthouse apartment in Beverly Hills, where she was briefed on how dire the situation had become. Quote, "They explained that Michael Jackson was having stomach aches and specifically requested me to be his nutritionist on the Victory Tour. He was refusing to go on stage until I was sent to cook for him. They were all very nervous. They said they were losing millions of dollars in canceled shows, and I had to leave immediately." Unlike his father, Michael Jackson wasn't one for screaming matches or violent outbursts.
Yeah.
His silence and fierce stubbornness were his biggest strengths. Quote, "At one point, he demanded that a publicist be fired, and when he found out she had not been, he refused to go on until she was," a tour insider recounted. To ease tensions and lessen the emotional toll, Michael's management arranged for him to be kept separate from his family whenever possible. An insider said, quote, "Michael stayed at his own hotels and flew between stops on a private jet, while the rest of the family flew commercial."
That was mostly because of Joseph. That was definitely, we just saw the movie, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that's that. It's because of the father. I'm not gonna lie. He causing all of this. Well, probably not all of it, but he's one of the big reasons why Michael's kind of want to be by himself. Yeah, he was tripping, bro. He was tripping.
This growing separation became symbolic. Michael was no longer living, traveling, or functioning as part of the group. By the tour's midpoint, the divide had deepened. Quote, "Before the tour was halfway completed, the brothers were taking separate vehicles to concerts, staying on different floors of their hotels, and refusing to talk to each other." It was clear that Michael had grown weary of the tour's chronic disorganization, which clashed with his perfectionist nature and left him increasingly distant and frustrated. Haunted by the same feelings of helplessness and loneliness he had experienced as a child, he once again found himself performing out of obligation rather than passion, fueling his resentment even further. At the very height of his fame, when he stood as the most celebrated entertainer on the planet, he felt at his weakest, drained by the weight of his family's expectations. By this stage, even devoted fans noticed that the shows had become nearly identical from city to city, technically flawless, but emotionally hollow. Quote, despite its enormity, the victory concerts had no magic. A hollow victory, one critic wrote, suggesting that Michael was merely getting through each performance without the passion and energy he was known for. By the time the tour reached Toronto, the shine had worn off and excitement began to wane. Around 50,000 tickets went unsold, forcing Chuck Sullivan to renegotiate his deal with the Jacksons so that revenues were based on actual sales instead of optimistic guarantees. By this point, Sullivan was hemorrhaging cash and had not anticipated shows failing to sell out. Rising costs on almost every front, including security, transport, and the thousands of tickets given away to bolster the tour's public image, rapidly eroded profits. Arena venues were ultimately scrapped from the itinerary, as organizers could not recoup the costs of staging such a massive production for smaller crowds. In fact, it was Michael's monstrous custom-built stage that turned out to be the single biggest factor in financially ruining the promoter. Quote, the 8-story stage that Michael designed and had built in secret took up a third of the field, rendering useless about a fourth of the 60,000 seats. This alone cut Sullivan's revenue dramatically before the tour even began. He expected to sell 60,000 seats per show, but Michael's stage layout, for example, removed 15,000 seats from Arrowhead Stadium. Sullivan's team admitted, quote, none of us realized until Arrowhead how big the stage was. With the already thin margins per show, and as Sullivan put it, overhead has often run more than $1 million a week, there was no hope that the Boston businessman could make a profit. In fact, he was losing roughly $420,000 per show. This was the moment the, quote, tour of a lifetime began to look like a financial quagmire for Sullivan. Even as the Jacksons continued earning internally, this only deepened the divide between Michael, who had already given his profits to charity, and the machinery around him, which was drowning in infighting and lawsuits over money. Quote, on its face, Victory was the most disorganized tour ever. For some, there is a lingering aftertaste of greed and mismanagement, the Los Angeles Times reflected.
It has been said that you had to guarantee something in the neighborhood of $40 million up front, and it would be logical, I guess, then to assume that you got to do some pretty tough business making to get all that money back. Are those figures just totally out of line, or are we pretty much in the ballpark?
Those figures aren't too far out of line, but I think the controversy over tickets and stadium deals is over. I went through the press box just a few minutes ago, and the press is so excited about this show.
How much do you have to earn before you start making some money? In other words, how much does this concert have to gross before Chuck Sullivan starts putting anything away?
Ted, I don't even really know the exact numbers.
Rough ballpark figure will do just fine.
I think that the expenses of this production are so significant that at this point in time, it's really too early to judge. We're just hoping that we break even and we give America some fun this summer.
Yeah,
the tour continued, with concerts in Houston and Vancouver drawing huge crowds. Vancouver alone attracted around 180,000 fans over 3 nights. But by that point, promoter Chuck Sullivan was running dangerously low on cash. After the Vancouver shows, he stopped payment on a $1.9 million check to the Jacksons. Soon after, he was hospitalized following a minor heart attack, but left early to renegotiate, claiming losses between $5 and $6 million. By the end of the tour, Sullivan had renegotiated multiple times, trading away percentages of merchandise and unsold tickets just to stay afloat. Shows scheduled for Arizona in late November were ultimately canceled. Officially, Germain's flu was blamed, but contemporary reports and later accounts suggested that weak ticket sales were also a major factor. During this phase, talk circulated in the press about a possible European and Australian leg, plans pushed by Joe Jackson, Don King, and some of the brothers. Unsurprisingly, Michael, exhausted and disillusioned, refused to entertain such discussions. What Michael focused on instead was the tour's long-awaited finale. 6 sold-out shows at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, drawing a combined audience of shows at Dodger.
So the final shows was in California. Okay, so that's where Michael basically told him, hey, this is gonna be our last tour or farewell.
Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, drawing a combined audience of roughly 300,000 people. In total, the Victory Tour's attendance reached around 2.5 million, surpassing the Rolling Stones' 1981 record by roughly 500,000 attendees. The tour grossed approximately $75 million, making it the highest-grossing concert tour in history at that time. But the most dramatic moment of the final show wasn't scripted at all.
Yeah.
On December 9th, 1984, in the rain, at the end of the final Dodger Stadium show, Michael made a surprise announcement. He told the crowd he was leaving the group and that this would be the last time the Jacksons.
Bro, we saw this in the movie, man, and the look on Joseph's face, Joe Jackson's face, when he heard Michael say that, bro. So it looks like because in the movie, I don't want to spoil it too much if y'all haven't seen it, but Joseph was there and he was like right there on the side of him when Michael was performing, not to the side of him, but like the Jacksons were on the stage and Joe was basically over there. You couldn't see him, but like he was over there. I didn't know that, and yeah, he said that Joe was like, bro, what did you just say? That's what basically
would ever perform together.
Oh, that's where he said it in real life.
Listen up. I'd like to say this is our last and final tour. And I think this is our farewell tour. Y'all been wonderful.
Nah, I want to go into the brothers' head. Man, they're all looking at him like, what?
Wait, look, every time looking at Michael when he looking to the side, I think he's looking at his father.
I think this is our farewell tour.
Yeah, because he's looking to the side right there because we know in the movie his father was over there.
Y'all been wonderful. It's been a long 20 years, and we love you all.
Bro, they was just standing there like in their heads. Like,
Though Michael had maintained that the Victory Tour would be his last with his brothers, they were reportedly stunned to hear it confirmed on stage in front of thousands. The announcement marked the end of their historic 20-year run as a group. After dropping that bombshell, the Jacksons were joined by family and friends on stage in celebration, a forced performance of a triumphant end to a historic but torturous musical endeavor. It was a brutal but fitting conclusion, a tour born from family obligation and business scheming, ending with Michael publicly reclaiming his independence and asserting control over his own life and career once again. In the aftermath, Jermaine and some of the other brothers floated the idea of continuing the Victory Tour in Europe and Australia, but without Michael. But those plans dissolved almost immediately when no one was interested. It was official. The Victory Tour was finally over. However, the tour's toll on Michael's relationship with his family proved lasting. Quote, "It was the worst experience Michael ever had with his brothers." One insider later recalled, "Some were jealous. There was denial. The whole gamut of human emotions."
What we saw in the film, basically, they was huddling up with his brothers, and Michael was like, "Let's do it." It was basically the final show, I think, too, that scene, and they was like, he told them he loved them, so like he knew what they was going through and stuff. But Michael at the end of the day said, "I love you still. Like, I love you, y'all, my brothers, man."
At a time when Michael's astronomical fame had already begun to strain family bonds, the trauma of the tour created a wound that never truly healed. Quote, "The bitterness between him and his brothers had a deep and lasting effect," another associate said.
Dad's fault.
Quote, "It alienated him from them for most of his later life and effectively ended the Jacksons as a performing group." The Victory Tour didn't just end the trailblazing legacy of the Jackson 5 and the Jacksons. It slammed the door shut. The brothers released only one more album together without Michael, 1989's 2300 Jackson Street.
Oh, wow.
Aside from the Michael Jackson 30th Anniversary Celebration Special in 2001, they never performed or toured together again during his lifetime. After Victory, Joe Jackson was effectively removed from Michael's professional affairs.
Yeah.
In many ways, the tour represented the final gasp of the Joe-era family enterprise.
Yeah.
Everything that followed marked a new chapter. Michael as a self-contained corporate entity, MJJ Productions, surrounded by carefully selected lawyers, managers, and advisors. Joe, however, never stopped trying to pull his son back into the family fold through various business schemes, often using Michael's star power in negotiations without consent. The singer was
in the movie he was doing that. He was devious for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Even forced to testify in court on several occasions due to lawsuits stemming from his father's unauthorized dealings. Joe's relentless attempts to regain control over his son's career only deepened their divide. For Michael, maintaining distance became an act of self-preservation, though it came at the cost of the warmth and closeness he had always longed for. The promoter, Chuck Sullivan, who had mortgaged both the New England Patriots and Sullivan Stadium to finance the shows, ended up losing at least $20 million from the venture. The Boston businessman reportedly spent...
I think I was right.
Yeah.
Patriots.
Yeah, so I think he was the owner of the New England Patriots, and I think he sold it to Robert Kraft. That's the owner now, yeah, who basically, Robert Kraft is the owner now, and he the one who brought Tom Brady and all of them together now. They had a dynasty in the NFL, the Patriots and stuff like that. So yeah, wow, it's crazy. I remember that.
And Sullivan Stadium to finance the shows. Ended up losing at least $20 million from the venture. The Boston businessman reportedly spent years trying to contact Michael, pleading with the superstar to show some compassion and help save him from financial ruin. His messages, however, went unanswered, and the Sullivan family were eventually forced to sell the Patriots and file for
I knew it. I got it right. I sold the Patriots.
bankruptcy in 1988. Some might view this as a cold move on Michael's part, but his shrewd business instincts told him it was not his responsibility to rescue a man from a bad deal he made. Besides, Michael was hardly inclined to feel guilty about tour arrangements organized by his father and Don King.
Oh,
especially
that was
inclined.
that man was. That man that was talking to Joseph in that room was smoking a cigarette. That's his name, Don King. They really portrayed everybody in that film really good. I'm not gonna lie. Like the makeup and stuff, I can see that's him.
And to feel guilty about tour arrangements organized by his father and Don King, especially when he ended up performing the tour for free and absorbing the public relations disaster that it caused. He had been burned enough already. Michael witnessed all of it firsthand. The lawsuits, the collapsed finances, the furious promoters, and the city officials demanding answers. It reinforced a lesson he had already begun to internalize when he hired Frank DeLeo. As the music executive advised him, quote, "Don't hand your career to family or hustlers. Build your own machine." Author Joseph Vogel later noted that when Michael began preparing for the Bad World Tour, he treated Victory as a blueprint for what not to do. He wanted a tour centered on the music and the fans, not one mired in mail-order ticket schemes and family feuds. Still, the Victory Tour did have its, victories. Its damaging effect on Michael Jackson's public image forced him to re-examine his moral positioning, which became the foundation for his public persona moving forward. Within months, he was spearheading We Are the World and channeling his energy into philanthropy and socially conscious projects, a passion that would later lead to songs like Man in the Mirror, Heal the World, and Earth Song. For fans, the Victory Tour remains a vivid and cherished memory, Michael at the very peak of Thriller mania. dazzling in sequined costumes, moonwalking under laser beams, and on stage with Eddie Van Halen for their thunderous Beat It finale. It was the moment Michael stood at a crossroads, one foot still in the Jackson family machine, the other stepping firmly into his own creative independence. He walked off the Victory Tour stage as if he had survived some kind of battle, thinner, depleted, and emotionally bruised, but ultimately victorious, and most importantly, free.
Wow, guys. That was really good. That was really good. It definitely I'm not gonna lie, some of this stuff we heard in here wasn't what we heard earlier when we went to go watch the movie and stuff like that. But it's good we watched this afterward. Now we know the full details of what happened during the Victory Tour, man. That was really good. What you thought of the video?
Yeah, man, it was really good, man. Like I say, give us some cool little things we could point out that we didn't, see, and then all the other stuff, like I said, that was in the movie that was actually there that we can recall. I said, man, it was just surreal to just hear all about it and just like real weirdly, you know what I'm saying? That this tour, just had bad management, and then yeah, like I said, it just being under control of Joe, and the Don King, guy. So yeah.
Someone said in the comments, dang, what I give to go back to $30 concert ticket price. Now these tickets are in the
Yeah.
hundreds.
Facts. Hey, and man, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth that much. Cause like, man, like some artists, and some of these artists, you know what I'm saying? It might not even be worth that much money.
But yeah, people saying, yeah, they use Michael like crazy that tour. Yeah, they were using him. This tour
It was the
stems
Thriller
from
tour.
he was supposed to do his Thriller tour, and instead he did this instead because of his father. His father made this name too. His father called it the Victor. This is because of his father. This all stems from his father because his father did this, man. But yeah, guys, what y'all think of this video, man? Tell me down below. What else, other things we're kind of missing or we don't know about? Tell us down below too. We'll see y'all later, man. This is Tony B, CB. Peace out.